Sports Court with 13 on your side. The case. Who is the greatest wrestler of all time? And before we get your emails and phone calls, we don't necessarily mean Olympic wrestlers. No. We're talking strictly the professional entertainment variety wrestlers.
Testimony.
If I'm gonna start at the top. The wrestler who took the company to a completely different stratosphere that no one ever thought possible. His name is Dwayne Johnson. You might know him as The Rock. The Rock is quite simply put the greatest wrestler of all time for reasons beyond just what he was able to accomplish on the mat. Nobody had the impact on the sport quite like The Rock. Simply put, he's the greatest wrestler of all time.
When you're talking about wrestling, WrestleMania, you're talking about Hulkamania. Now, we're talking about the character and not the man, so simply on what he's done in the ring, and no one has done more than Hulk Hogan. When he started running wild in the 80s, this was a small regional thing. It's national. They fill up football stadiums for WrestleMania, just like they're going to do this weekend.
Cross-exam. I know that your favorite basketball player is Michael Jeffrey Jordan. You say he's the greatest of all time, but he didn't start the NBA. There were great players before Michael Jordan, and there are great players after Michael Jordan. So just because Hulk Hogan came before The Rock, that doesn't mean that he's necessarily greater, right?
Understandable. Hold on one second. Let me just bring the belt here, because that's what Hulk is. He is a champion. And I'll tell you why he is the greatest champion of all time. Longevity. The Rock only in the game for a couple years. He went Hollywood, barely ever came back. Hulk is wrestling through and through, and that's got to count for something, right, brother?
Okay, if you want to talk about Thunder Lips being a guy who lasted long in the company, Hulk Hogan went into movies too. And to be quite frank, there is no Hulk Hogan without Andre the Giant, who also went into movies and other forms of entertainment, but none of those wrestlers reached the peak of The Rock. The Rock is a global superstar, and he has transcended wrestling and gone into all sorts of entertainment to the point that everyone around the country, around the world, knows who The Rock is.
Closing argument.
You can say what you want about the Big Boss Man, about Triple H, about any wrestler that you might like. Of course, we can go down the list. There's a ton of guys. Step into a Slim Jim. There's a whole lot of different characters. None of them are The Rock. And I mean that in terms of what he was able to accomplish in the ring by becoming a champion, becoming one of the tag team all-time greats with Mick Foley, becoming a guy who transcended the sport and was then able to become a movie star. The Rock is the greatest wrestler.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. When you're talking about the greatest wrestler of all time, you're talking about the 22-inch pythons, the say your prayers, the training, the eating your vitamins. There's only one Hulk Hogan. Now let me ask you this question. What you gonna do when Hulk Hogan runs wild on you?
The verdict. And now we turn the case over to you, the jury. What's your verdict?
Head to the 13 on your side YouTube or Facebook page and comment. And next week, we'll highlight our favorites in Sports Court.